Hi, this is Trace Davis. We're here with Tone Talk with Five Finger Death Punch guitar player Jason Buck.
What's up?
Let's talk about guitar tone for you. I know where you come from and what your influences are and whatnot, but what do you look for in guitar tone?
Well, I like articulation. Obviously, to me, the challenge is to get that really nice, rich, lush gain, but without the blur.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I describe it as a layer of sort of that fuzzy, buzzy stuff that sits on top that starts to blur everything together and chew it up, and you lose the articulation.
Kind of like the foam on the top of your cappuccino.
There you go. That makes perfect sense. So you're actually one of the players that is really good at controlling high gain. Some guys not so much.
Kind of like, like Ed Van Halen. Most people know that I'm a big fan, but he would always he would have a lot of gain, but he would very much keep it under control with his fingers.
He's very good at that.
Yes. And anybody else would pick up his guitar and all running out of control. But I think that for me, I kind of like to have gain available, but then start to dial it back to a point where you're hearing the the attack and the transients of each note and the picking and stuff like that. Certainly for rhythms, but for leads, I certainly sometimes I like a little bit more just because it's easier to play.
I think most guys do. Yeah. You don't want to fight it. Nobody wants to fight it.
You don't want to fight it. You don't want to hit a dry note, in the middle of your
Right, exactly.
Little gain assist on that.
Little help, little love.
Little help, yeah. But that's it. I like some stuff that's rich. I like the mid bite, that certainly comes from that kind of martially sound. I think that the guitar sort of occupies that zone.
It's a mid-range instrument.
It's a mid-range instrument, and I think that if you I like to sort of bump up the mids a little bit. Again, very Van Halen, but it kind of cuts through that little area that the guitar is supposed to live in. It's
a tone that I personally like. It's hard not to like Eddie, and with that kind of mid-range, the British mid-range, I guess you'd say, it's very cool to me.
Well, I think that a lot of the metal guys, or the trend used to be scooping that.
Yes.
And then so now you're living in like the cymbals and the kick drum zone, and you've taken away your frequency zone where the guitar is actually supposed to poke.
We're supposed to sit in the mix.
Right.
Yep. Well, in the last couple, I'd say 2 or 3 years, prior to this, I used to see a lot more people wanting to scoop. And now we're starting to see it come up more balanced and even from what a lot of people are asking for. Yeah. So, which I think is a good thing.
Interesting, yeah.
It sounds more correct or balanced.
Yeah.
At least from a guitar player's point of view. That's how I would see it.
It's tricky for us because we're playing in baritone tuning.
Well, that's true because you're also shifting the frequencies down the lower the tuning goes too.
It's like rocking out on a bass. So that all the years of trying to establish good tone, kind of the rules went out the window.
Well, you spent years just as regular standard tuning, or maybe a half step down,
half step down.
Nothing further down than that, really.
Yeah, but once you pick up a guitar that's tuned B to B. It's just moving different frequencies around, and it's like you're trying to get it to sound like the stuff you're in love with.
That's a little tricky.
It's tricky.
It's harder than people realize.
Yeah.
If the amp has to be set up to accommodate it too.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that's where we get gurus like you on our side. We can call a friend.
Way too kind.
Call a friend.
Well, I remember when we first started working together. I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe something like that. When you got in the band on starting the second record.
Yes.
We started modding some Marshall GMP1s and then started modding some Marshall heads and so forth. And I know a lot of people have asked me, hey, how much of a role does, Jason play in guitar tone and describing guitar tone? And to me, you actually, compared to a lot of other people, you played a little bit of a bigger role than most.
Yeah, a menacing role.
Well, you could, cite certain songs, certain pieces of songs, maybe a certain time frame from this point to this point, that kind of thing, which I think is very cool.